headlines tonight. Linked to the UCU student death, Kasanda South Member of Parliament, Frank Kabuye, arrested.
And the government of Uganda getting equitable share in this company.
Finance Committee demand for equity shares in Rocco Construction instead of the preferential shares fronted by government.
Workplace details including name, location.
Also tonight, Gender and Labour Ministry launches online platform for workers to freely report unfavorable working environment. And in sports, President Museveni meets CAF President Patrice Motsepe at State House, Nakasero. On CTV, I'm Kalachi Brand with Isaac Luchams on sign language. Now, Makerere University is banned all physical guild elections and campaigns indefinitely following the death of a Uganda Christian University student during the heat of the campaigns last night. The university has also instituted a committee to investigate students' guild operations and a logical conclusion to circumstances that claimed the life of Betungura Bewate. We have more.
The unfortunate death of Uganda Christian University student Betungura Bewate, who died last night during Students' Guild election campaigns at Makerere University, has continued to raise eyebrows. This afternoon, the University Council convened According to the Secretary to Council, Yusuf Chiranda, previous elections at the institution have been marred with violence and clashes between different opponents. This is partly why the University Council has resolved to ban physical guild campaigns and elections.
The Council could not sit back to see one more life lost or any further destruction of property or injury to students. So the Council had to take immediate steps to ensure that peace is guaranteed. That is why the things which are associated with this violence have been suspended. Of physical elections, the Council will be no more physical elections at the university.
Revealed that they are going to terminate all levels of student leadership at the university, including the interim government.
That's the Students' Guild and Students' Senior Common Room, including the caretaker government, and all guild leadership structures are suspended henceforth. 4, to ban all brigades and other unauthorized groups or organizations at the university with immediate effect.
Chiranda says the university has instituted a committee of 6 to carry out investigations into the matter and into Students' Guild operations.
The Right Honorable Daniel Fred Chidega, Engineer Dr. S.P. Kagoda, Associate Professor shall provide an interim report within 1 month from the date of appointment.
According to the University Students' Guild Constitution, partisan politics is illegal. However, elections are influenced by external entities, including political parties, which is regrettable.
And I think that's a conversation we should also have with the Student Guild leadership, especially the Students' Guild Constitution. Not what to preempt the findings of a committee council has put up. I am a member of the university management. I know that when this council committee is looking into this issue, it will also be looking at how we as management have been fulfilling our mandate to supervise student activities.
The university says any student found to have engaged in acts of violence during last night's events and other cases of indiscipline will be. The guild elections attracted a total of 16 candidates, but bitter rivalry was between NUP's Alionzi Lawrence aka Dangote, FDC's Justus Tukamushaba, and NRM's Hussein Ibra. Adams Mayambala for CTV PM Edition.
Well, moving on, members of Parliament on the Finance Committee are demanding for equity shares in the Rocco Construction Company as opposed to the preferential shares fronted by the government. The State Minister for Trade, Henry Musasizi, however, says there are no intentions of the government to take over the company.
For the whole of this week, the Finance Committee of Parliament has been going back and forth with the Minister of Finance and of Limited on the issue of government purchasing 150 shares in the company to bail them out of the 200 billion shillings deficit. Today in the Finance Committee, which was attended by the State Minister for Finance, Henry Musasizi, members of Parliament zeroed down on which type of shares they want government to buy.
Once we have only preferential shares, we are mob squatters. Anytime, ROCO can decide to chase us out. If this company is to collapse, when we have only preferential shares, we could lose out as a country.
If you go preferential, we defeat the objective of indigenizing this company. For the government of Uganda getting equitable share in this company.
So what about those court cases in court that I did a search, and there are about 27 of them, and there are cost implications in that?
According to Minister Musasizi, government will concentrate on holding preferential shares, which, however, members of the committee said this will limit the government's participation in decision-making. Another key issue that stood out today is the company's debt burden of almost 176 billion Uganda shillings. To save the taxpayers' money, members of the committee are suggesting that the government takes a share of the company.
The view that is emerging, that we are considering at the moment, and go with the preference shares, but also devote a certain amount of the money that they had requested on ordinary share, so that we have equity in the company to enable us to participate in the decision-making in the organization, and also to participate in the issues of correcting the problems with management.
Because what they need now is resource mobilization. We are saying yes to 270 billion. Let about 16, 17, go to acquire 51%, the rest preferential, and it will be well protected. There we'll be able to determine who a managing director is, how that can.
Musasizi is on the other hand opposed to the idea, revealing that government is only interested in keeping the company in operations, not taking over.
We think in the industry we should be the leaders. Our local companies should be leaders, and that's why we are saying this brand of local, which has been on top of the game for quite some time, should not be lost. We should come in to invest in, put in money so that it is able to resolve its current challenges and continues. And it's a company which is promising.
Government seeks to buy a total of 150,000 preferential shares from Roko Construction Limited at a cost of Uganda shillings 1 million each. Other companies like Abubeka Technical Services Limited have as well asked for the same hand from government, only to be promised next financial year. Ramson Muhire, CTV PM Edition.
Now, Makerere University having banned physical campaigns to opt for virtual campaigns. Kasanda South Member of Parliament Frank Kabuye is detained after police linked him to Thursday's killing of a Uganda Christian University student on the last day of Makerere University Guild President campaigns. Kabuye is being detained with 2 other suspects. The UCU student reportedly died after a brawl between supporters of Orange and National Unity Platform. Have a look.
Thursday was the last day of the chaotic Makerere University Student Guild campaigns. It turned out to be bloody after running battles and fights between supporters of Forum for Democratic Change and the National Unity Platform. Much as the University Guild elections are non-partisan, they are traditionally influenced by Uganda's national political parties. The UCU student who was killed has been identified as Betungura Bewate, aged 27. He died at Makerere University Hospital, where he was rushed while bleeding after he was allegedly stabbed.
The police at Kampala Metropolitan North are investigating circumstances under which Tungura Bewote, a 27-year-old student of Uganda Christian University, doing law here at the Kampala campus, was allegedly stabbed and later on died. We later on got to know he's a resident of Makerere 3 Parish in Kawempe, and about the said incident, it is believed it happened at about 1900 hours, that is 7 p.m. in the evening.
According to the FDC chairman, Makerere University Students Chapter, Manful Eneitwe, the deceased was a supporter of FDC.
So they broke us and they requested us to clear the way such that they can pass through. To do so, and remained blocking the entire entrance. And from there, it is when a scuffle came about, where the members started pushing each other.
The fight reportedly started at the university rugby grounds, where Lawrence Arionzi, an NUP-leaning guild president candidate, was holding his
which are supposed to do that, to come out with a statement. That is the police and possibly the university. Because as the chapter also, we shall release a statement soon.
Where after he segregated himself at Nsibirwa Hall, he was rushed to the university hospital where he succumbed to injuries. Oyesigire said that the 3 suspects would help in investigations.
What we know is that a lot of participants who are campaign were not part of the school. Some of them were part of the school, others were not part of the school, and it's through that we managed to arrest Honorable Member of Parliament, One Kabuye Frank, who is currently detained here at Central Police Station. We have Sechide Alan, currently detained at Wandegea Police Station, and also Kabura Muzafaru, who is currently detained at Old Kampala. Investigations are ongoing. We are going to use any relevant source of information through CCTVs and also statement recording to identify who could have done this heinous act.
According to the Secretary of the University Council, Yusuf Chiranda, all have been banned until further notice.
Recommendations of the committee will inform the final decision of the council on this matter.
Story compiled by Chris Semakula for CTV PM edition.
Very unfortunate. Now moving on, the National COVID-19 Task Force has met to review the status report and give guidance to the country on the management of the pandemic. Following their visit in Entebbe, the task force recommended the closure of a testing laboratory at Entebbe International Airport. We have more.
The COVID-19 task force sitting in Kampala has implored Ugandans to embrace vaccination and get booster shots for more effective control expiry date.
Then we can say, let us remove the masks when we have reached that level. So the answer to this is continuous sensitization so that our people are mobilized to go and get vaccinated.
Increased vaccination is not only preventing illnesses, but also trying to prevent other variants coming on.
A status report presented have since resolved to close the facility.
Progressively moved away from requiring tests to requiring vaccination certificates. So it doesn't hurt. We can remove the lab. We can remove the lab and you expand the airport.
It is also resolved to increase sensitization and engagement with the population about COVID-19. Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Matia Kasaija, also advised the businessmen and women on what they need to do to recover from the effect.
Think of people with vehicles who are supplying their vehicles are literally, they've written them off.
For the small businesses, there is money that is in the bank waiting for them. For the medium and the large ones, there is money in Uganda Development Bank and other financial institutions. Farmers, there is a fund for you.
Members of the public have also been urged to continue wearing
as much as possible to keep on your masks, and unless you are, of course, outside, and get boosted.
Because of a sub-variant of the Omicron, the B5, which has a higher transmission, but also it decreases the neutralization of certain of our antibodies.
Dr. Henry Chobe, National Incident Manager for COVID-19, says that the government plans to vaccinate children from the age of 12 to 17 during the coming holidays to ensure the country is safe from COVID-19.
And would like the National Task Force to adopt and implement the suggested whole government approach to tackle complacency and vaccine hesitance, and and in vaccination of children starting 12 to 17 years in the school holidays, which are just a few weeks away. And Madam Chair,
According to the report presented, cases of side effects of COVID-19 vaccination and other claims that the vaccines were brought to control population growth have greatly affected vaccination uptake in the country. The COVID-19 National Task Force will meet next week to plan for the way forward. Hope Nyongereza, CTV, PM Edition.
If conditions at your workplace are harmful to your mental and physical health, there's a launched application you can use to report your employer. Find out after the break. It's 20 minutes past 9 p.m. Welcome back to PM Edition. Individuals and institutions in the health sector are to be rewarded at the 3rd Annual Heroes in Health Awards, also known as He/Her. The awards, which were created
as the country goes into the recovery drive, the health sector is fighting to find ways they can continue to sustain operations post the pandemic by driving rapid innovation to help save lives and to lessen the negative effects of the pandemic. While addressing journalists today at the Ministry of Health headquarters in Kampala, Minister Dr. Jane Cheng announced plans to hold the 3rd Heroes in Health Awards 2022 under the theme, Rebuilding the Health Sector with Innovation and Creativity.
We are unable to achieve our desired impact. Our health workers work in the most resource-constrained settings, hard-to-reach areas, serving overwhelming numbers in a bid to save lives every day. We are cognizant of the fact that the health workers need to be motivated and recognized.
According to the minister, members of the public will be allowed to participate in the voting process to choose the people they believe have played a unique role and contribution to the health sector.
The vetting proves that nominees are rewarded based on the level of service they provide to their communities,
as well as drugs and other basic necessities.
It gives people who are in hospitals which are well facilitated a higher chance to be the beneficiaries of these awards, because they will get a patient, when they have the right equipment, they will make the correct diagnosis. After making correct diagnosis, they will give patients drugs, and when they go home, most of them will be able to heal from their illnesses. So such a patient will obviously nominate this doctor.
The Heroes in Health Awards, which is a public-private partnership project instituted in 2019, aims at improving Uganda's health system and delivery of health services. The winners of these awards will be announced at the official gala held on 24th November 2022. Shamim Natsewa Wetendo, CTV, PM Edition.
Now, at some workplaces, the safety of work and working environment is not a priority. This bad practice exposes workers to dangerous and harmful conditions that have, in some cases, caused death and injuries to workers. To reduce such cases, the Gender and Labour Ministry has launched an online platform that
system seeks to improve communication and interaction between the Gender, Labour and Social Development Ministry, workers and employers. Labour experts say the system is timely given the fact that Uganda is increasingly becoming industrialized and modernized, which calls for transparency on occupational safety and health services. The system was launched by Peace Mutuzo, the State Minister for Gender, at the Uganda Media Center in Kampala. Mutuzo says the information system
generates quick inspection reports and recommendations following on-site inspection and receive feedback from the workplaces.
The minister says the platform will be used to register all workers' workplaces across the country. The workplaces include churches and markets. The system will also help the ministry to know the number of people who are employed to ensure that employers adhere to working standards and contractual obligations.
The following information: 1. Workplace details including name, location, number of work for compliance.
According to the minister, the online system will not only address challenges faced by the employees while on duty, but also employers will also use it to report employees' misconduct.
A number of people, or casual laborers or many others, have had injuries on duty and they don't know how even to process their benefits when you are injured. They don't even know where to report. So this information management system is one that is going to open up opportunities for people to report and report on time for as long as they have evidence.
She says that once all stakeholders in labor chain are satisfied, the country's productivity, growth and development will improve. Hope Nyongereza, CTV, PM Edition.
Cavendish University has won the International Humanitarian Law Moot competition and secured a shillings 2 million cash prize. The institution beat Gulu University to the first prize. Gulu University walked away with shillings 1.5 million. Komba University, Kampala University and Uganda Christian University participated in the competition that was sponsored by International Committee of Red Cross.
So this was a moot competition organized by International Committee University and Cavendish. And it is significant because it is preparing the students in the art of advocacy. It gives them practical training to ensure that they appear before actual judges and they compete against their peers.
And these students were debating on a fictitious issue about whether, cyber attacks which are done by institutions which may be backed by, governments, constitute crimes under the International Criminal Court. So the students have been debating about that. The winners are also going to represent Uganda in the All Africa Moot competition, which takes place in Arusha later this year.
I'm so happy that my team won, and also to all the other participants, they were fantastic as well. It's not easy going up against people who know the law as well, and I commend them for all the effort because I know the time and effort that we all spent putting up the fight, and I'm so happy my team won, but I also am so glad that the other team put up a strong fight as well.
In Chad, Interim President Mahamat Idris Deby sets a new date for the national dialogue. And in South Africa, with the gun rise in violence, smuggling of guns is said to be one of the major causes. There are some solutions that have been suggested. We have more. The military junta in Chad has set August 20th for a national reconciliation dialogue that has been postponed several times since it took power 15 months ago. Following the death of President Idris Deby Itno, who was killed at the front against rebels in April 2021, his son, the young General Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, was proclaimed president at the head of a transitional military council of 15 generals. He immediately promised free and democratic after an inclusive national dialogue with the entire opposition and all the countless rebel groups. However, after 30 years of authoritarian rule by Idris Deby, the National Reconciliation Forum, initially scheduled for 15th February and 10th May, was postponed mainly because of a pre-dialogue in Doha for peace agreement between the junta and some 50 rebel groups has been stalled for 4 months. The Inclusive National Dialogue is convened for 20th August, according to a decree of the Transitional Military Council signed on Thursday by the junta appointed Prime Minister Albert Pahimi Padak. The authorities do not specify at any time how to start this dialogue if the 50 or so of them in the Qatari capital since 13th March failed to reach an agreement. However, if the main platform of the unarmed opposition, Wakiti Tamad, does not return to the talks it suspended on April 6th with the junta, whose power it refuses to recognize. From the very first days, the new Chadian strongman had been endorsed by the international community, led by France, the European Union and the African Union, as this army is one of the pillars of the war against jihadists in the Sahel alongside French troops in the Balkan operation. However, Paris, the European Union and African Union had asked that the first 18 months deadline not be extended. Africa's rising gun violence crimes have been attributed to the smuggling of high-caliber guns like AK-47s. The Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime reports that there are about 3.8 million unregistered illegal firearms in circulation in South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. Illicit guns and ammunition are a currency in the underworld of gangs, mass shootings, and wildfire crime. Gareth Newham, Institute for Security Studies Head of Justice and Violence Prevention Programs, said it is difficult in South Africa to hire out high-caliber guns like AK-47s. If found to be in possession of an automated, South Africa's Minister of Police, Becky Cele, said the police are working towards clamping down on illegally acquired firearms. Meanwhile, advocacy group Gun Free South Africa believes a door-to-door search is the solution to the country's gun violence. Away from Africa, the family of US former President Donald Trump is mourning the death of his ex-wife and mother of 3 of his children. And the draconian lockdown measures and severe heatwave did not leave China's economy the same. The Asian country's economy continues to plummet. We have more. Ivana Trump, the first wife of former United States President Donald Trump, died at the age of 73 on Thursday. The former president announced without revealing the cause of death. On his social media platform, Truth Social, Donald Trump wrote that the mother of his 3 eldest children, Ivana, passed away at her home in New York City. He added, "She was a wonderful, beautiful, and amazing woman who led a great and inspirational life." He further said her pride and joy were her 3 children. Tied the knot with Ivana in 1977 and divorced in 1992. Together, they have 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric. The news agency AFP spoke to a spokesperson for the New York Police Department, NYPD, to get details. The spokesperson in an email said officers responded to a call at her address on the Upper East Side at around 12:40 p.m. The officers declared her dead at the scene. The spokesperson wrote, upon arrival, officers observed a 73-year-old female unconscious and unresponsive. Emergency medical services responded to the location and pronounced the victim deceased at the scene. Ivana grew up under the communist rule in former Czechoslovakia. She married Donald Trump in 1977, and the couple welcomed their first child, Donald Jr., who was born later that year. They welcomed Ivanka in 1981 and Eric in 1984. In the early 90s, Donald Trump and Ivana Trump got divorced. After that, Ivana went on to become a successful businesswoman. She developed her clothing, jewelry, and beauty products. She has also penned books. Amid burgeoning COVID cases in the country and a sweltering heatwave that has brought major cities to a halt, China's economic growth has hit a new 2-year low. According to data released by China's National Bureau of Statistics, the world's biggest economy grew by a tiny 0.4% in the second quarter, April to June. However, international experts dispute the report and argue that Chinese economy may have contracted in the same period. With President Xi Jinping missing from the public eye pandemic, Beijing is employing draconian measures to keep up with its zero-COVID tolerance policy. The strategy has been one of the primary reasons why China has lagged in its economic recovery. For months, the tough lockdown measures imposed by the Communist Party of China, CCP, led to a decrease in manufacturing as factories and offices were closed down for prolonged periods. If the slowdown continues, China could see investors packing their bags. Moreover, last year's Evergrande debacle is still hurting China's image on the global map. Evergrande was a crown jewel of China exposed and currently stands on the cusp of defaulting after owing more than $310 billion to banks and other stakeholders. It is reported that China will also miss the target of 5.5% economic growth by the year and be a rarity and a direct consequence of the ultra-strict COVID policies of the Xi Jinping regime. Let's take a short break. When we return, we find out what transpired in this. Among and the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. They discussed a number of issues, including Uganda hosting the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations jointly with Tanzania.
Confederation of African Football President Patrice Motsepe's visit to Uganda is one that should shape Ugandan football for the better, if what he discussed with key stakeholders is put into practice. Motsepe, who arrived in the country yesterday, today morning met with the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, and later President Museveni. While at Parliament, the CAF President, who was flanked by FUFA President Moses Magogo, together with SEKAFA and Tanzania Football Federation President Wallace Kaira, did engage the Speaker. This is where the Speaker re-emphasized the readiness of Uganda to co-host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations with Tanzania.
We are willing to join Tanzania to do the co-hosting, the AFCON 2027, and we are ready for it. And we've already gotten clearance from our president, and we'll be able to.
The CAF president in his submission informed the Speaker that many countries have put in bids to host the 2027 edition, but he was optimistic about Uganda and Tanzania's bid having high hopes due to the fact that the East African region has never hosted AFCON.
There's about 8 to 9 countries that have expressed interest, and as I say, I encourage all of them, and I can confidently say that this region hasn't hosted the AFCON. It will be a huge stimulant.
Motsepe singled out an important reason for his two-day visit to the Pearl of Africa.
I am here mainly to come and make a humble contribution to football development in this country. And also we had some of our people in the private sector yesterday to emphasize the support and the partnership that's important for football development.
After Parliament, Mosepe was hosted at the State House in Nakasero by President Yoweri Museveni, whom he gifted. Museveni assured Mosepe that his government will fully support sports and football in particular.
We have not started supporting football yet. We shall support it. You will see what support means. Because Uganda had collapsed. The small colonial economy had collapsed under groups. So when we came in, the issue of bring back the economy.
Noah Lakira, CTV, PM Edition.
That's a wrap for tonight's edition.